Okay, and that means we jump straight into the topic, and that is looking into where we are now in 21, 22 onwards. And the picture which I show is from a recent client survey. We do that on annual basis. We did that year-end 2020. That means way into the COVID-19 crisis, but also when people realized that there is something which is a next normal. And that is what we can see here. If I compare this picture with the one which we had a year earlier, that means just at the beginning of COVID-19, the big difference would be that cost, quality, competence would be in the upper right corner. What does it mean? I mean, that was perceived a short and long-term challenge. And we typically see this as a dangerous or vicious circle, because if we only see the cost pressure, lack of competence, and the quality risk, that can easily turn into a downward spiral. Today, the picture is different. Companies realize we need to continue in the way as our business is now changing, and that means we have to innovate our business. And that means this new dot in the upper right corner, which is a short and long-term challenge now perceived by a wide majority of the respondents to this survey, they have all realized the only way to avoid and to mitigate this vicious circle is to come with innovative business solutions. And that, I think, is really giving us the insight on which I also want to build this presentation, which is Agile matters because it facilitates to escape this vicious circle, and Agile also needs innovation. And I will show in this webinar a few case studies, and obviously you also feel free to bring your own challenges so that we can directly address those. Now, this new normal or next normal, whatever you call it, is characterized by phases. And what we see here is on the upper part of the picture, the mere, very simplified, the mere number, which you see also in the newspapers, and on the bottom part, what is the impact on economics. Now, the simple part is we had the first phase basically finished around second half last year. There was everyone sooner or later comes into this panic mode, and that means a severe decline in economics and business. Further on, this is where we are today. We are now in a kind of equilibrium. That means we have infections, we have also reactions. Business is not where it should be, but we see light, and we see a vaccination, and we see a good tendency for recovery. And that is what we still have in front of us. And as so often, we can imagine that some of the changes which we now introduce, or which are forced or enforced on us, will also bring advantages. And that means if we want to really make a benefit, and this is what is put in this red call-outs, it means that we certainly should not be in a mode where we just complain about the situation, but much more take advantage, making improvements, and make sure that we thus would also be in a position that we can really implement innovation. And to implement innovation means that we are aware of where we are with our projects, where we are with our different products, where we are. And one major theme which we have all around the different industries and business is that we have an increasing amount of what can be called critical systems, infrastructure. It can mean complexity. We have this abbreviation of VUCA, which is volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity, which means we have multiple challenges, and they all have nothing to do with the current pandemic situation. They've been there before. They've been accelerated to some degree, but they will remain. And this is why I deliberately speak about a next normal, not from a perspective of COVID, but much more from a perspective of we are aware of these challenges and we have to handle those. And that means we see evolution paths in terms of, that's the horizontal axis of this grid, multi-team, multi-location, new ecosystems. At the same time, we have also an amount of complexity, criticality, multidiscipline. In other words, the changes are in a direction where we have complex projects which we have to handle. And this means that we need methods which are adjusted, because not any of our different companies, of those of you who are today in this webinar, or who listen to the recorded version of this webinar, would have exactly the same constraints. Maybe in the very big picture you find these constraints being similar, but certainly not in the specific details. And that means we will not have this one answer fits all. I would rather like to give you some sort of guidance with this webinar in order to find out what are key elements to consider when introducing or when transforming into a more agile, that means more flexible, more innovative environment. Now, one observation is that agility, which is now around for a bit more than 2 decades, at least the formal agility, we should say, because the history is much longer. History goes back into the mid-80s. The inventors of many agile principles being companies such as IBM or Microsoft in the 80s. I mean, with this kind of history, we have a lot of wealth of lessons learned, and the current snapshot, this is what is brought here in the blue call out, is that on the one side, we see clearly that agility is basically practiced in most companies. The numbers which McKinsey has reported is about 1/4 of the companies are real agile companies. Another quarter is in a startup mode, which by nature is often agile. Yet another quarter is what they call bureaucratic mode. That means in a kind of pre or before agility mode, and 1/4 is trapped in change. This is maybe the most dangerous part, because trapped in change means these endless transformation projects, which sooner or later everybody realizes they will not really deliver value. But that means, looking to these numbers, we can also conclude the good news is that many companies are true agile, or at least try to be, but also another half have not yet seen the value of agility. And many fail in this process. That is what we see with this 1/4 trapped in change, but also in the...
Hi there, hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time, and best wishes for your continued success.